Okay, I wanted to say something else about the thunderings that day when I stood on the stairs uh, of the old palace annex where God had me stand and wanted my beloved husband Shabi and me to tell me and my me and my beloved husband Shabi to tell the world that we know that you can live forever and there's everlasting life. And there's something about the old palace annex, okay? A long time ago in a previous life, during the time of the horse and buggies, you know, and there were cars coming. Um, my husband and I fell off of that palace annex and onto the gear shift of our, our horse and buggy. Um, some of the same people that tried to do things to us this time tried to hurt us last time. And we never did anything to each other, but they caused confusion and commotion, and we fell off the building excitedly. We were Sultan and Sultana here, of a very, very, very large kingdom, and the whole world was going to know, that we were Jewish Sultan and Sultana, and this very, very large kingdom that God has given to us. It was supposed to be beforehand, but bad people came and some of the same and tried to do something to keep it from being. It's in the record books here. There was a crooked doctor. He was executed. This was some of the bad people that tried to do things to us. And so we wanted to tell you that, and that's most likely God wanted me to be able to tell you that too. This place where I stood, the old palace annex, was a place where my husband and I fell off the building, excitedly, and onto gear shift of our horse and buggy drawn carriage. We're going to have a really large party. The whole was going to know that we were Sultan Sultana of a very, very large kingdom, and we were Jewish, and but the bad people tried to keep from being much like they tried to do now, but they weren't able to. We just know, okay? They weren't able to do it then, and they're not able to do it now. They thought they could stop it then, but God said in the thunderings that He was punishing everybody that tried to hurt us all and take our things. We believe our God. Our God has told me how much my husband loves me, and that I know that God tells my husband how much I love him too. Our God is for us. In the thunderings, He said that. He chose us. Our God, who's God alone, who made everything. That's quite awesome. And we're to tell you. That day, God wanted me to tell you, wanted us to tell you that we know that you can live forever, and there's everlasting life. The Book of Daniel speaks of that. It talks about a very, very, very large kingdom in conjunction with all that happens with everlasting life and the resurrection. It does speak of that. But it also talks about the bad people too. There's a paragraph before the paragraph that talks about our very, 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 very large kingdom that's never destroyed, never transferred to the people, and how it lasts forever. The paragraph before is like the book of Genesis, where the fallen ones made offspring with the daughters of man. And the book of Daniel talks about how it's to be understood that they're fallen, and they make offspring with mankind, but it's like iron and clay, and they don't hold together, which basically means that God destroys them, and it's because they were really bad. Then the next paragraph talks about our very, very, very large kingdom that lasts forever, never, never be destroyed, never transferred to people. And then the paragraphs following after that, and the chapters after that, talks about the resurrection and everlasting life. And goodness, see, God intended for things to be the way He intended to be when He created the world. Everything in between was all the fallen things, the bad things. God intended for the world to be good and people to be good, and Adam and Eve to live forever, and Adam and Eve, being together and loving each other and married to each other for eternity. And their children didn't. People were not populated through incest. We wrote to you about that. Adam's children's children married their children. Cousins can marry each other. As my our first cousins, and that's lawful and legal and kosher. Anyway, so we do what our God tells us to do, and basically so we're helping you to understand that we're the Holy Ones of the Most High that speaks of that are spoken of in the Book of Daniel, The thunderings, God said that He gave us created this very, very, very large kingdom for us. And proof of that is the book of Daniel. God speaks of that. That lasts forever, never to be transferred to the people. We know that this is our kingdom that we're speaking of, in conjunction with what you read in the book of Daniel. And God made that known in the thunderings. And God is awesome. It's wonderful. And it's like how you can see that we're the good people. We're the Holy of the Most High. Our kingdom lasts forever and ever, never to be destroyed, never to be transferred to the people. The ground is holy. The resurrection comes, and there's everlasting life for everyone, including those, the good people that are resurrected. The good people live forever. There's everlasting life for the good people, and the resurrection, people that are resurrected that are good, live forever too. Only for the good, though, because God intended for good to, when He made the Garden of Eden and everything else, and the earth and the heavens, everything else, He intended for everything to be good, and the Garden of Eden to branch out and populate the world with goodness, good people. When it speaks of in Isaiah that heaven and earth shall pass away, but God's word shall stand, He meant exactly what He intended to do. Everything to be good and live forever. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but God's word shall stand. So nobody should ever think that God didn't intend for things to be the way that He intended things to be, everything to be good, people live forever. All the badness goes away, this in between, the fallen things. He knew that the things would fall. And the bad things would do bad things. And that's just like I explain it like if you're making something with paper mache, and you have all this stuff, this drippings, everything that's left over, but the paper mache product is finished and beautiful, what happens to the stuff that's in between, that's all, that you don't use? That's basically how you speak the bad things that fell. And the bad things that were caused with the fallen things. Like this leftover stuff in the paper mache that doesn't, it's not the finished product of everything, the bad stuff that's not needed. And the angels know, the ones that fell, they knew right from wrong. They did something terrible. And the women in the flood that cohabitated with the fallen beings, they were destroyed. They cannot say, like this time too, when it's referred to in the book of Daniel, they can't say they didn't know. All those women that did those things before the flood, they were destroyed. How many people were saved during the flood? Noah and his sons and their wives. It wasn't Noah and his sons and Noah and his wives and Noah's sons and all their wives. It was like 8 people. And even the animals had mates. Remember? God says 7 pairs. So that's like each animal has its own wife and husband. Everlasting life, it's important that you make sure you have your soulmate. We know that our God makes us together. Shav and I remember heaven. We call it sometime new. And all of our family members remember heaven too. Our people, all of our people. We know. Okay, so we know that that's the way that God does things. We know some things. So it's important that you have your mate that you're supposed to be with. God makes it blissful, and you have a proper mate. We can talk about these things later on, but just to give you an understanding of the thunderings and why God had me stand on that particular spot. Because we know our God says in the book of Daniel, you can read about that, you can live forever, everlasting life. And then there comes a time, and then there's a resurrection. People who are living live forever, and then the people who are hurt that are good, they're resurrected, and they receive everlasting life too. The good people receive everlasting life, and the bad people receive everlasting death. That's what abhorrence means. It means like it's everlasting, translates to everlasting death. That's for the bad people, but we're the good people. So now we're going to say something else, because we always want to say this, because we hear so many things from the bad people. We are only the Malkin, Melik, Sultana, Sultana, Tsar, Imperatrista, Padishah, and Malika, Jahan, all the Maharaja. We're emperor and empress. We are only the king and queen of the good people. We can safely say that and be honest, because our kingdom lasts forever and ever, that God gave to us, never to be destroyed and never to be transferred to the people. the, our good people who were hurt are resurrected. They have everlasting life, and we receive everlasting life. Remember I told you in the thunders that God said that Shabi and my beloved son King Melech Baruch Shabtai Shabi and I were married for eternity? That would mean that we live for eternity too. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what that means as well. So the next day I'm like, oh, only the good. Because eternity is a very long time, and it's to be a very happy time. Everybody has their own mate. Everybody has somebody that God made especially for them. We know that. We remember sometime new. That's when you're first born in heaven, and you meet all of your family and everything, and the way you'll be on earth. And so, I think I wrote a little bit about it. Anyway, so we just wanted to say that to you, and I will talk to you later. It's hard making these videos, and it's dark in here and everything. The lighting's not really good, but it's important things to say to you, okay? Because we know that we need to say these things to you so you understand and you know, and you hear from us, because God lets us know these things so we can speak to you. And when we can, we'll make another video and tell you of more things. And so, until next time.